Welcome back to the Mission 43 podcast. Today we're talking about the number one concern we hear from veterans and military spouses when they're leaving the military, and that's employment.
Everyone needs a JOB. So we're sitting down today with a brand new Mission 43 Employment Pillar Director, Christy Funk, who recently retired from the Air Force. She was a first sergeant, ton of experience that she now brings to the team.
Smash that subscribe button and let's get started.
Smash! Join us in learning about the stories and the people who inspire us. This is the Mission 43 podcast. I'm Dan Nelson.
And I'm Brian Madden. Idaho is our home. The military is what we did.
Christy Funk, brand new Mission 43 Director of Employment. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I'm so excited.
Well, welcome. You're the newest member of the Mission 43 team. You are recently retired from the United States Air Force.
I am.
And you are running the whole show as far as employment goes for Mission 43.
Yes. Wow, that's a lot of pressure. Thanks.
No problem. How long have you guys been in Idaho?
Since 2006, actually, this time. This is our third time here. Prior to that, came in 99 as my first duty station.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not excited because I was actually here as a dependent. I went to high school in Idaho. My dad was military, and he moved us here my senior year of high school from Phoenix, Arizona. And
Down in Mountain Home?
to Mountain Home, yes. You want to talk about culture shock. I mean, that is absolutely culture shock. So, but it worked. It worked. Got involved in the Forest Service, fell in love with Idaho, and just renewed my contract. Went to Lucky Peak Forest Service, did some training with the smoke jumpers.
Nice.
Just to be able to see what they do, and definitely loved it here. Grew on me for sure.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. You guys spent, like, you want to say you guys, you and your family, and your husband was also Air Force, right?
Correct.
You guys are both retired now?
Both retired now. He retired in 2017, and I retired last year. So.
Oh, he beat you to the punch?
He did. Well, he's been in a little longer than me, so yeah, he came in prior to me enlisting, if you will.
So you were an Air Force brat that transitioned, and then you enlisted, right?
Correct. Yep.
And you ended up being a first sergeant down there at Mountain Home for quite some time, right?
Yes.
Or first shirt. We're learning Air Force terms.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why they call them that, but
it's easier to say. Shirt.
Shirt.
It's just easier to yell out, I think, maybe.
How long did you serve in that role?
Almost 5 years. Yes.
Nice.
It was quite the transition. To be honest, I never really thought about being a first sergeant, and I had a chief, and we called him the Godfather. That was his nickname, and he said, "Christy, you will be a first sergeant." And I said, "Chief, I can't do it right now. I'm going to Afghanistan." And he's like, "Well, when you get back, think about it." And I was like, "Ugh." So I came back and got another set of orders, was going off to Kuwait, and he was like, "You're going to be a first sergeant." And I was like, "Chief, it's not a good time. I'm, tasked again." And he's like, "I already put your name on the list. When you come back, you're going to school." And I was like, "Okay." so I didn't choose this path.
What does that require? What was that big leap, or why are you a little bit hesitant on doing it?
I think because it's a lot of pressure to have control over somebody's path and their progress, or their no progress, if you will. They're progressing out of the military. Right, you're sending them back to mom and dad.
Getting kicked out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a lot of pressure, and I didn't have very, very good first sergeants prior to becoming a first sergeant, so I didn't really know what that looked like.
That's some of the best experience, though. You learn what you don't like in leadership roles.
Exactly.
So now in your leadership role here, so first to explain to everybody, you work for Hire Heroes USA.
Correct.
And your job is to run the employment pillar of Mission 43, essentially.
Yes.
So Hire Heroes USA was they're the oldest. They're original partner for Mission 43 as far as employment-wise, and they're a nationwide organization. But here with Mission 43 employment, you lead a team specifically for Idaho veterans and military spouses, right?
Correct. Yeah, military, veterans, and spouses.
Right.
So we empower them to actually find quality employment, honestly. So we provide resume writing, we provide mock interviews, we provide career counseling and mentorship for them to be able to be successful in their job seeking. Honestly, it's a hard transition. It's a hard transition for military. It's a hard transition for their spouses. You want to talk about spouses that are continuously moving. I mean, honestly, they're the OGs when it comes to transitioning, because spouses do it over and over and over again. Our military, we don't. That's a hard transition for us. But I think both of these organizations, honestly, I'm very blessed to be able to be a part of both of these organizations that truly concentrate on that
Yeah.
specifically.
There's not many that do like offer these in services for military spouses, and Mission 43 is really proud. Like, we're really proud that all of our activities include military spouses, including the employment pillar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What don't you guys do?
We don't find the job for you. I can't go to the interviews for those members. I mean, all I can do is give them the tools to prepare them to be successful in that job seeking. Honestly, that dream job that they want, I can give you the tools.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting. Is you guys are not a job placement service, right?
We're not. No,
it's not about that. But what you guys did, like even for me, you guys did it when I was transitioning. I didn't know how to translate my military experience onto a civilian resume. I never even built a civilian resume. You know what I mean? Which is kind of embarrassing, especially at that point in my life. But I was military, then law enforcement, and I just never really had the need for a real grown-up like resume.
That's right.
And Hire Heroes hooked me up, and then you guys translated my military experience to something that is more consumable for potential employers, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, something that translates all those military acronyms into a Word document that employers could understand.
Right.
And not only that, we assist with federal resume writing. You want to talk about a beast. I mean, that's something completely different, something military have never participated in. I mean, that's really tough.
Why is it so different on the federal side?
A lot of requirements, the way that they write their resumes. I mean, you talk about a civilian resume that could be 1 to 2 pages recommended. When you look at a federal resume, they want all the information. That could be 5, 6, 7 pages. I mean, so they just want all the information. So
I was always told that a resume has to be 1 page.
1 to 2 page, exactly. Yeah, in the civilian job market for sure.
Okay.
Is a federal resume getting scraped from a computer though? They're basically looking for those keywords, so it's a different ball game than individuals combing through a 1-page resume trying to get the bottom line.
It is. Absolutely. And we have Hire Heroes actually has specifically their own department where they do that training, and they sit down with you one-on-one and help you write that federal resume. And it takes some time. It really does, because like you said, there are key words that you have to have in there for the job that you're applying for.
And we typically run probably 1 to 2 federal specific workshops a year here in Idaho just for that reason.
Yes. We're looking at doing that again, absolutely, bringing it back to face-to-face and having folks come in and do a workshop on that, because there are a lot of questions.
What about points? Everyone's like, I'm going to get a federal job and I'm going to use my points from the military. I think it's a misconception just because you were in the military. 5 points or whatever it is in the application process is going to get you the job.
That's a good question. Honestly, I have no idea. I never even tried to do the federal side. I looked into it. I did, I think, a short workshop at one point when I was retired. And I was just like, wow, this is a lot. What else do we have? What else is out here other than this?
Go ahead.
So what tips do you have? When should someone start looking for or start working with an organization like you all?
I would love, honestly, if we started working with our military folks probably 2 years out, because a lot of times folks are not prepared. Maybe they need additional formal training. Maybe they need a certification before they get out of the military. I would love for them to start thinking about that progress and what that means prior to that separation piece, because to be honest, I struggled with that coming out of the military. I didn't know anything about, I hate to say it, but I didn't know anything about Hire Heroes or Mission 43 prior to my transition. My husband didn't know anything about it, and the only reason he found out is our daughter needed senior pictures. Well, somebody that worked for Hire Heroes was a photographer. This is her 3rd high school, so she was like, hey, Mom, I don't know where to look. I need senior pictures. And she was like, never mind, I don't. And I'm like, yes, you do. You're doing senior pictures. So we ended up running into Micah, who was a photographer, and I was deployed at the time, so my husband, he was stressing a little bit, and I was just like, hey, call this number, Micah Taylor does pictures, and he was like, okay, I'll do it. So we met up with her, and she invited him to a spouses event. They were doing like mock interviews. It was like a speed dating event, but they were doing interviews with all these different employers from anything from construction to IT to hospital to so on and so forth. And he went. He was the only male, and he was a little uncomfortable. He was like, "This is crazy."
He was still a military spouse, though.
He's still, and that's what I told him. I reminded him, like, "You still a military spouse?" He's like, "Okay, here we go." And he ended up solidifying his job that way. And then once he got his job, I was like, well, that's a really cool organization. And at the time I was getting ready to go through TAPS, and I was really struggling with this resume. And in TAPS, they have you write a resume right there on the spot.
Do they?
And I literally was like staring at the screen like, I don't know how to translate, $15 billion or $1.5 billion in aircraft and combat times and so on and so forth. How do you translate that to a civilian, technology or language?
Yeah.
And I was looking at it, and I had a colonel that was next to me getting ready to retire, and he was kind of feeling the same way. I was like, hey, how did you write that? And he's like, I don't know. I can't write it. I was just
Right.
like, oh, no, we're both in the same boat. We don't know how to write resumes. And so that's when I finally found Hire Heroes, and I was able to ask them, hey, can you help me write this resume? Can you help me translate what this means into a language that people will understand? So that way I'm attracted to those
I think that's
employers.
important. Like, unfortunately, TAPS is not fully going to prepare you
It's
to get
not.
out. It's a federally mandated program that a lot of times it's check the block
It is.
at the end of the service. So you brought the 2 years. So does that mean I'm looking for a job at the 2-year mark, or what kind of things are you doing 2 years out versus 1 year, 6 months out?
2 years out, you're thinking about what is required for that IT job that you specifically want.
Okay.
Like, we'll just use a client, for instance, who he doesn't have any, let's say he's a bomb loader and he wants to go into the IT world, and that's what he wants to do because Southwest isn't looking for bomb loaders.
Right.
I mean, so
I hope not.
you want them to, you specifically want them to start thinking about what is it that I need to do? What is required of me prior to getting out of the military? Can I use my Air Force school or my Army? I think you guys have the same thing on the Army side as well, for these certifications, or do I get involved with Mission 43 and take advantage of some of their education? The education pillar is amazing, and they're eligible for things like that. Hey, do I need to do that? Hey, is there a mentorship program? How do I get into specifically that mentorship program to be able to tell me what I need? Or maybe I need to re-enlist in the military, or I need to stay a little bit longer because I'm not quite ready and I need to do some formal training or some formal education. I would rather catch them ahead of time, because to me, even if they re-enlisted, that's still a win. I mean, we're not going to have veterans on the streets, that don't have jobs and can't provide for their family. They're still providing, just buys them a little bit of time.
That's really interesting too, and that's what you bring really uniquely to the table as well. Your experience as a first sergeant, where that's a big part of your job, right? Is advising people on what to do. Like, it's probably time for you to get out, or you need to stay in because you don't have any other prospects right now.
Right. Exactly.
So let's build you up and get you ready. And I mean, it's going to sound like tooting our own horn, but I think you brought it up with Mission 43's employment and education pillars together. Like, that is so key, because a lot of other groups and everything are one or the other strictly. And you just don't, obviously most people don't go to school for any other reason than to get better employment, right?
That's right.
And your guys' numbers are off the charts. Like, you've hired, over 1,000 people since 2016, both military veterans and military spouses here. And the average salary is pretty damn good. It's like $60,000 or something like that
it's
right
like
now.
62 something right now, the average.
That's pretty legit for Idaho. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, honestly, and I love the 3 pillars of Mission 43 because we all work together. Even the engagement piece that you handle is key for military that are transitioning. I talked to a couple folks that are engagement as they were transitioning out of the military, just looking for that crew again, that posse that understands what they're going through, because everybody at these engagements events are at a different stage of that transition piece. Newly transitioned to I've transitioned like 15 years ago. It's still so helpful, I think, to our veterans and our spouses, because they are going through this as well. And then the education piece, if you need additional formal training, military people, to me, in the military community, they want to be better. Even if they have a job, they solidified that job, they're in a job, they're getting a paycheck, they always strive, I think, and they set that bar high to be better.
Yeah.
They're always wanting to
purposeful employment, not just punching the clock.
Yeah, they are not the clock watchers. They're not the ones that just, are mediocre. set the bar high. They want to continue to grow. They want to continue to improve. And I think that's great because Mission 43, you guys provide both of that. I mean, all three of those aspects. So I'm really excited.
At what point do you think a business would realistically start looking at a resume and start interviewing? If you're still in, is that if I'm 6 months out, do I have a good shot of actually talking to a company? Are they doing that, or is it
Absolutely.
3 months out?
No, 6 months out. They can actually apply for SkillBridge, and that's that piece, that internship.
That's like a hidden gem that no one knows about. Can you talk about SkillBridge a little bit?
Well, I mean, I'm not to SME on SkillBridge, but just as a first sergeant, SkillBridge is an employer's opportunity to be able to have that transitioning military member in the company doing the job. And do you like it? Do you not like it? Sometimes they love it and they get the job offer and it just fits. It's like a puzzle piece. It just fits. And then sometimes they're like, holy cow, I didn't realize that's what that job entailed. I need some additional training. And then that employer will actually foot the bill for that additional training if they want to keep that member. If they fit their culture, I mean,
so it's almost a paid sabbatical by the military.
Correct.
Prior to getting out to go work with the company. And I've just in the past 12, 24 months, I've heard SkillBridge thrown around a lot more, and it's been around for years, but it seems like it's becoming a lot more acceptable, and it's cool to see Idaho companies are jumping on that and bringing in people prior to separation, so huge opportunity there.
Why wouldn't you? Because these employers don't have to pay these people, right? It's paid for by the government and just leads into whatever transition, whether it's retirement or... Do they do it just for retirees, or is it
they do
really?
It for separatees as well. Yeah,
No
absolutely. Yep.
I think it's just harder on the losing unit because at the end of the day, you're not getting a backfill for that person who's going to be on the 6-month SkillBridge or however long it is. It's a tough one, but
yeah, it does seem strange but like that's the right thing to do, but it's a hard ask for a lot of commands throughout the DoD, right?
It is, and as a first sergeant, I saw a couple of them come across the desk and preparing for the commander's signature. But it's a hard sell because the commander is losing that individual on that. Let's say I'm just going to use maintenance on that flight line that can't launch jets or fix jets or actually load bombs. So. I mean, he's taking a hit. He's not getting a replacement for that particular member that's transitioning out. But if you think about in the long run, the big sell is you're preparing that veteran, you're preparing that military member for success on the outside. You truly are.
I think if they invested in that and they being the military as a whole, and you actually push that out, it was common knowledge for people that are considering the military as a choice.
Yes.
That'd be huge, right?
It is.
So hey, I'm going to do 4 or 6 years or whatever, and then knowing that I'll have 6 months at the tail end of that, potentially if I choose to get out at that point, to transition into whatever my next career is.
That's right.
And I don't even know, guys like me, just infantry nugs and stuff, how do you translate that? That would be so critical, and I'd never heard of that program. Yeah. And if it's been around it has been around long enough to where I should have, and as a, former leader that was advising people like you did as well, it was really, what a fail on my part.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the only one.
No, you're not. I think it was one of those hidden secrets, if you will, because a lot of commanders didn't want to lose the member. So I think it's just one of those things. But people started catching on, and I know we started briefing it quite a bit for those members that were transitioning out. Because
it's too late at TAPS, though, right?
It's not necessarily, because you can do it up to 6 months out. That's the longest you can do SkillBridge. But let's say you only have a month. You already did your TAPS. You already checked your boxes, and you want to go and intern with, I don't know, BSU or Black Sage or something like that. They can do that for that 30 days. It's just up to 6 months is the max.
So I did TAPS, I think probably 72 hours prior to me actually getting my DD-214 and checking out on terminal leave. Am I totally abnormal?
No.
Yeah, so I always hear, now I'm hearing they're pushing TAPS out, and TAPS, for those that don't know, is the federal program that we mentioned that's required for all transitioning military service members, branch-wide, everyone that's getting out, whether they're retiring or not. And it'd be great, but you do it right at the very end, it's too late.
So they are actually pushing TAPS 2 years prior to a member actually separating or retiring. Whether you plan on enlisting or not, they still want you to go through TAPS. And TAPS is now 3 days instead of the full week like it used to be.
Yeah.
And it entails your whatever transition piece that you want to do, boots to business, the teachers program or entrepreneur program or the DOL program. So it's 3 days now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like information by fire hose.
Yeah.
But they're starting 2 years out, which I absolutely love. I'm glad they started that
Yeah.
early.
We've been talking about TAPS ever since I got into the veteran space, and it's years and years going by without actually improving the quality of the program. You can push it out 2 years prior, but unless you are holding this program accountable for the successful transition, that's why I'm thankful for organizations like Hire Heroes USA who can step in, who hold themselves to a high level of accountability and can say, I know statistically in X number of days, we are most likely going to help this person, empower this person to find employment. So it's incredible you guys are here. What are you, as the new leader of the employment pillar, what are you excited about in the next coming months, year?
Honestly, socializing the program as much as I possibly can, going out to locations where, again, me as a first sergeant, I didn't know anything about these organizations. So I want to tell all the secrets that I've learned thus far, so that way individuals know there is help out there. You don't know how to write a resume, and that's okay. We're going to help you.
Yeah.
We're going to provide those tools. You don't know how to interview. That's okay. We're going to help you, and here's the organizations that are going to help you do that. Or, hey, you have a crew of veterans right here. Come meet up with us. Let's talk about this. Let's get you on the right track. Come talk to us. You're not alone in this, and I think that's the biggest message I want to send. Because as you're transitioning, that feeling of being alone, this is the first time nobody feels like this. I'm the only one that feels like this. It's absolutely not true, and I think that's why it's so critical to definitely socialize these programs.
I think it's really cool too because you are at Mission 43 events, and like Chris Ingram, one of the transition specialists, like he's actually there, present, so people get to know you. It's not just like the nameless, faceless person that you're talking on the phone with to walk you through your resume. There's a level of trust that you guys achieve in there, and a level of credibility just for both of your military experience, for instance, and everybody on the Mission 43 team has that experience as military spouse, as a military service member, and translating that to help others. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And then Mission 43, I think I first started doing events with you. It was the running event. As I was transitioning out, I was looking for, just get that energy out because you're not working anymore and being a first sergeant. It was go, move. And, I'm still preparing for that PT test that I'm never going to take again. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I just need to burn off this energy.
You guys take PT tests in the Air Force?
What? Really?
I was curious.
Absolutely. I was just kind of looking for that thing, and the miles came up. Said, hey, run 43 miles in the month of April. I was like, sure, I'll do that. And then, there's a hiking event. Sure, I'll go do that. And, look, there's a biking event. And Mike is he doesn't run with me anymore after a half marathon story. We'll talk about that later.
The
He hit a
incident.
wall. That wall that everybody talks about?
Yep.
Yeah, that man almost died. But he bikes, and he was like, oh, my gosh, 430 miles. I was like, excuse you? So he's like, all right, let's check it out. And it gives us the opportunity as veterans now in the Boise area, because we've only lived in the Boise area for 3 years, to meet other veterans that are out doing the same thing. It's funny. You'll recognize the T-shirt and you'll be like, oh, you doing your miles? And it's kind of cool to be able to meet folks along the way. And obviously go out and explore Idaho. And we've been on trails, mountain biking, and things like that we've never even heard about before. So it definitely gets us out. So I think that's where I first got involved with y'all, and I was just like, this is amazing. This is absolutely
What's cool about that is you made the decision. We're pretty deliberate about not like forcing anybody to do anything. We'll put out opportunities that, quite honestly, we're kind of interested in. And you made the decision to come out. You stepped out. A lot of people will stay pretty reserved. They don't want to. They just have trouble talking, or they don't want to come out and talk. But you put a little effort in, you're going to meet incredible people like you who just show up also with these things. So,
well, I'm all for forcing people into it, but no, I think it's true. And a lot of people like me, for instance, I was always hesitant with knowing veterans organizations. I was hesitant to walk into
absolutely
a happy hour or a hike or something. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to want to go to this. And it's just a different vibe that people like you, people like your husband Mike, I don't know, create at Mission 43 events, and we're really appreciative of it. and super appreciative and stoked that you're a part of the team now.
Oh, thank you very much. We're very excited, and I think he's your number one volunteer if you guys ever need anything. He loves the program, and he has fun with you guys. So I think it's a man thing. I think it's a beard thing, maybe. Maybe it's
Probably.
a beard thing. So I'm not sure.
This is going to be transitioned to a mustache pretty soon.
Oh no.
Well, thanks so much for being here, Christy. We're really excited about everything that's going to happen and gearing up for actual Mission 43 employment events again,
Yes, I'm
to be in
excited.
person and bring all the veterans, military spouses of Idaho to the clinics that they actually need to get the training that they need and the jobs that they deserve.
So one last question. If I'm interested in employment, what exactly should I do to get connected with the employment team?
Go on to the Mission 43 site, honestly, and check that box for employment. Sign up. Definitely sign up. Sign up for all 3 pillars, honestly. That's the best way. And then after that, one of my transition specialists will contact you and get you signed up with Hire Heroes.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, cool. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for joining us for the Mission 43 podcast. Our purpose is to provide you opportunities to lead, learn, and inspire throughout your Idaho communities.
We want to hear what you thought. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment below.